Ever thought of an Airbnb or other short-term rental option as a side hustle? We did. Today we're going to tell you our story, which includes some steps we followed, pros and cons, tips and regrets we think might help you, and if we feel it was worth it for all that work. And finally, we'll share our revenue. Let's get into it now. I've actually owned several rental properties over the last 14 years, but most of them have been long-term rentals. My husband and I decided to purchase a short-term rental during the pandemic in a beach town in Canada. I know it sounds funny saying a beach town in Canada. Well, during the summer, it can get really warm, upwards of 40 degrees Celsius with the humidex. Also true, in the winter, it can get the same in the reverse. It can be cold up to minus 40, or feel like it at least. So it can be a struggle for rentals. At the time, at least short term, I could see with real estate being so volatile, I wanted to make sure we weren't going huge in debt with another mortgage, as I was sure there was going to be a downturn coming quickly. Why, you ask? Well, no one could go to work. No one could view houses. No one was going anywhere. Surely the housing market would go belly up. Well, we all know around the world that was not the case. In any event, it was 2020, and we were going to do it, and hopefully on the cheap. My family was from that town, so it influenced our decision to purchase as well. We chose a small residential property that was not too far from the beach and close to downtown. Most people thought we were crazy since it did not fit the mold of an Airbnb wow property. My experience has been that most things do rent, and there's a renter for every property. We had issues. It was only 783 square feet and barely 2 bedrooms and a sinking slope from the living room into the kitchen. But it looked on a beautiful ravine in the backyard, and it was detached, so it's a single family home with some property. Remember, we also thought at the time there would be a real estate crash, so we wanted to be careful. Frankly, it was the cheapest single family home in that town when bidding wars were happening everywhere, and we knew it had problems. Our realtor at the time thought there was going to be a bidding war on this house. That didn't happen, and we got it below market. We had to fix the roof, the water line to the house, change out the oil furnace to a natural gas, and add air conditioning and repair that sagging foundation I talked about. Yes, it was literally sinking. But we did it. Even with those repairs, we still felt we could build equity, and we could also use the place when we needed it. As prices rose and our equity in the property grew, we decided to sell the property and purchase a more expensive, larger house that was across the street from the beach. It needed some work as well, but we got the property at a reduced price after negotiation and immediately started to fix the larger issues. We fixed the front stairs as they were a safety hazard, added a new banister, fixed up the gardens, fixed electrical work, and added air conditioning to start. This house was more expensive, bigger, and within steps to the beach. I honestly assumed it would be rented every day. I got an HST number, which is basically a sales tax number that you need if you make more than $30,000 for a short-term rental according to our tax laws. Here are some issues that come up when you want a particular area you need to be aware of before you purchase. When researching for an Airbnb or other agency that will help you rent, you want to look at what your competition is in the area. Again, our family was in this town, so we were committed to stay within close proximity. Plus, we love the area, and it's one of the most beautiful parts of the country. That, of course, could limit our potential revenue. During the pandemic, our first place was rented for most months and weeks. It was difficult to get a place, which of course makes sense as you could not really travel easily during the pandemic. Once we had the beach house and the pandemic was mostly gone, there were a ton of properties on the market to rent short term. Lots of companies limited the work from home, and now air travel opened up so people could go anywhere. So when you're doing your research, you want to ensure it's not a blip and that competition will not hinder your opportunities. The other thing that changed in the area was new laws were being put in place all over the geographical area we had our place. The government was mandating that you needed a license and had to pay them a percentage of the revenue. If you did not get a license and have it inspected, you could face hefty penalties. Make sure you check into your local area and see if they have these bylaws, as it can seriously impact your business. I heard stories of people overextending and buying big properties because they were going to rent them for $10,000 a week with 17 people allowed at the time. The bylaw came in and also restricted how many guests were allowed per house down to 6. So that meant the revenue was not going to come in to cover all their costs. Research and research again. In 2022, our first year in the house, we used a cottage rental company that frankly did very little to assist us with renting the property, so we moved to Airbnb in August of last year. So now we've been on Airbnb for a year. Let's talk about some pros of short-term rentals such as Airbnb first. Number one, it is good to have an asset, and the expenses such as the mortgage, taxes, and some other expenses are deductible. Number two, Airbnb platform is user-friendly and you can create a template email to automate some of the processes. Number three, you can decide if you want to rent the place by not offering automatic bookings. We like to see if people have positive reviews before we say yes. Number four, Airbnb helpline is very responsive, although not always that helpful. Number five, it's an income generating asset, and when it's not rented, we get to have a getaway to see our family as well. But we're trying to have it rented every day. Number six, so far, we have a 5-star review, so renters or guests seem to like it. Let's talk about some cons of short-term rentals such as Airbnb. Number one, there is no such thing as passive income, in my opinion, when it comes to these side hustles. And Airbnb is definitely not passive. We put a lot of work and expense into the purchase, repair, and setup of the house. Renters contact me through the app, so I'm the primary worker. Number two, in our opinion, it generates income, but nowhere near what I see some people claiming on YouTube, like $10,000 a month. If you're looking for a get-rich-quick thing, I personally would say this would be a hard road. Number three, we do not get to use the house all that much in the nice weather. So, number four, one bad review could impact people staying and hurt your revenue. In other words, we are on one platform, Airbnb, so we need to get good reviews for people to rent it. Number five, people are rough on your house. They break things, stain things, wear things out, and a lot of them do not tell you. For the tips I'm going to offer, I'm assuming you are thinking about it or you have a place to offer on Airbnb or other short-term rental platform. So here are my tips. Number one, make sure you know the laws in the area, as it's illegal in some areas. Where I live, you can only Airbnb or short-term rental in your principal residence, basically in your own home. Where our Airbnb is located right now, we do not have any restrictions to Airbnb or other short-term rentals, but all the regions around us actually do, and you have to pay the local government 4% of your income to operate or face hefty fines, including other fees. Your neighbors will tell the local government, so don't even try to do it if it's against the law in your area. Number two, make sure you have the appropriate insurance and the company knows you're hosting Airbnb, i.e. multiple people are coming and going each week. That's very important that you're upfront with that piece. You don't want to lose your asset if someone gets hurt. Number three, this next tip is a must in my opinion. I learned about this machine watching another YouTuber with an Airbnb, and I'm sorry I don't remember their name. It was an industrial deodorizer, an ozone machine by BCI Technologies, which is out of stock, but I have a similar one in the description below with a link that we actually just purchased for our own house. These ozone deodorizers are amazing. This is not sponsored. I just think these machines helped immensely over the years. You cannot be in the room while it's on, and you have to air out the room afterwards. The machine is excellent and clears out mildew, smells, smoke, fish, you name it, and it truly leaves the house without a smell. I'd suggest anyone getting an Airbnb to get one, but read the instructions and follow them correctly. That's really important. Number four, get a good housekeeper. Ours is great and we hope they stay with us, but they just move farther away to another town. They're reliable and keep us posted when things have gone wrong. Number five, entry access. You either have to have a lockbox with keys that you can change the code or wireless code lock that you can change for each guest. We use a lockbox and it seems to work fine. Number six, good mattresses and pillows with covers. We bought new for everything and we get positive comments about them all the time, and it protects your assets. If people forget their sheets, I can tell you they'll just sleep on the mattress cover and pillow covers with your blankets, according to my cleaner. Number seven, you do not have to provide towels, beddings, or essentials, as I just said. We don't, and our price takes that into consideration. Our cleaner won't wash them because it takes too much time, and we're not close to our rentals, so we decided that it was not going to be an option, and it's less work for us. We both work full-time, so it's not an option for us to do it ourselves. We provide comforters and blankets. Long-term rentals do get sheets and towels. Why people would not go and get cheap sheets in one of the stores in the town if they forgot them is beyond me. If you can afford the rental, you can afford to spend $100 on sheets for all the beds, and you get to take them with you. Number eight, go to thrift stores. Go on Facebook Marketplace, garage sales, etc. to get items at reduced costs. For example, get nice dishes, pans, kitchen items. People get rid of the most beautiful things because they get sick of them. There's no excuse to not have nice things at the rental. I was at a church bazaar just recently, and I overheard a woman buying dishes that were in terrible conditions with chips and black marks on them. And the volunteer pointed it out to them, and the person said, "It's a rental, I don't care." Don't do this. This is your business. Make sure you have nice things for your guests. They are normally paying a lot of money to stay there, and they deserve to have items in good working order. You can get artwork, blankets, furniture, decorative pillows, appliances. Things break all the time, so it will save the pocketbook and it will save the environment too. Be green. Remember, you're looking for repeat business. Think guest first. Have nice things. Number 9, if you are by the water, the minimum is to have lawn chairs, beach chairs, sun umbrellas. Help people to enjoy your vacation getaway. We do not provide watercrafts, but we did buy them, and then we found out the insurance was through the roof, so that's not an option at our house. Number 10, have a fire pit and chairs. Everyone loves a campfire in the summer. Check your municipal laws, though. We have a propane fire pit as there are restrictions for wood fires in the area. Number 11, if you have something special, highlight it. We have the view of the lake, so we purchased expensive Adirondack chairs along the front porch so you can sit and enjoy the view. Most of our reviews comment on it. Number 12, be responsive to your guests and listen to them. They are your customers, so you need to be available. We have a house manual that was on Airbnb, but one guest suggested we print a copy, so we did. They also suggested we should highlight things people can do in the area, so we did that as well. We just assumed that people would have done their own research, but help your guests see what's available. Number 13, you need a handy person. You need someone if you're not close to your place to fix it. Things break, need fixing all the time. Number 14, if you have a septic tank like we do, post notices about only toilet paper in the toilet. Our plumber told us to do this as soon as possible, and we have them in all the bathrooms. Number 15, advertise everywhere. I did it at work, on social media, signs on the lawn, at the rental, and at our own home. Regrets. Our only regret is that we didn't start sooner. We will talk about the revenue, but it's not the only reason to do it. You want people in your house so that it's not vacant. You want an asset. Most insurance companies will not allow a place to be vacant more than 30 days. Check on your own policies. One other regret might be that we did not get the beach house sooner. I have a tendency to worry about money, and I should have gotten it sooner. Revenue, I'm not sure who's making $10,000 a month, but it's not us. As I said, we live in Canada, and it's cold 6 months of the year. Beachfront in Canada is frozen for about 6 months, so you don't even get the view. You're basically staring at a lake that is frozen. Plus, we're not close to ski hills. Our main season is the summer in this place. We're close to a large business that brings in contractors all the time, and that can help. You make most of your money during the summer, so that's July and August. So that means it's vacant part of the year, and we have to go up and take care of the place and stay there because you can't have it empty, as I said. We're fine to do this to visit with family, but that might not work or be realistic for other people. Right now we have a contractor renting during the high season and the low season, so it won't be vacant. I'm not going to break down our expenses as it's really just too involved. We have the normal expenses of running a house, which include heat, hydro, internet, mortgage, insurance, house, and city taxes. We have maintenance costs of things breaking, as you heard, repairs that we have to make. We just had a water line break, and that was over $1,000 because it was on our property, not the city. Let's talk about the first house that we had on a short-term rental company like Airbnb. For our tiny cottage for the first year, we made gross $19,500 for that tiny little cottage. Our taxes, I think, were about $1,700, and it was so tiny, heat and air conditioning was low. This house was a great investment, but it was just too darn small for us. In the second year of owning that house, we were in the process of selling it, so our revenue was really low for that reason. It was around $6,000. For our larger property across the street from the water that we own now and rent now, I would like to highlight that we paid more than 3 times more for that property than the first one. It is approximately double the size, of course, and we've had a lot of expenses with this house as well, such as this year, the unexpected water line break, which was our problem and not the city because it was on our property, and that was over $1,000. Plus, we had to charge Canadian HST, which I talked about, which is 13% of the revenue, basically our sales tax. For 2024, we are estimated to bring in gross, with nothing deducted, about $26,500. As you can see, it's not a huge moneymaker. But you have to remember someone is paying for your asset, and in our case, it covers our expenses with no additional revenue. As the mortgage is paid down over the coming years, more income will flow to us, and the house has increased in value with real estate staying high, even with the repairs and additions we made. If you are asking if you should think about an Airbnb to make money, I still say go for it. But do your homework and do not over leverage yourself. Remember, this is our story and I'm not a financial planner, but I've had a few side hustles in my day. If you have questions or comments, please let me know below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you can see more of this content. And if you like the content, please consider giving a thumbs up as it really helps this channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.